Okay, so important question. What would be the best way to improve at art? If your answer is practice constantly, learn the basics first before diving into big projects, and consistency, then you would be absolutely wrong. You're wrong. The best way to improve is actually to push limits until I hate myself even more than I already do. So this is why I gave myself exactly 24 hours to make an animation. Let's dive into it. This is a challenge, and like every good challenge, we have to follow the rules. What are those rules? Let me tell you. First, it has to be an animation, not an animatic. Movement has to be somewhat smooth. Stills are not allowed unless the shot is planned as such. Second, it has to be at least 30 seconds long, which means at 24 FPS I would have to have around 720 frames. Shit, that's a lot. Point C. Music and sound effects have to be included. Fourth, it has to be a story. It's allowed to be a comedy, horror, or any other genre. Point E. Planning, storyboarding, animation, and editing all have to happen in 24 hours. Breaks are allowed. During breaks and sleep, my timer stops. Alright, now that I set unrealistic expectations for myself, I'm going to either make a masterpiece or fail trying. Help. Because I wanted to be 100% sure that I would stay within the 24-hour boundaries, I split the animation process into 4 main sections: scripting, storyboarding, animating, and editing. Scripting is for writing what I want to animate. For this, I gave myself 1 hour with the option to extend to 2 hours if needed. Storyboarding is for making an outline of the story with sketches. Think of a very rough and untimed animation. For this, I give myself around 6 hours. Animating. This is when I go in with actual intent and care. It's for shaping, adding color, shading, and tweaking. Time, 10 to 12 hours. And finally, editing with the rest of time. Editing will be for adding music, sound effects, and maybe finishing touches or just fixing errors. Alright, now that everything is set, here comes the first part of the process. For this animation, I took inspiration from Luke Humphries, Dead Sound, and Pixar, specifically this animation. I wanted to make something dear to me, but that could, maybe, perhaps, mayhaps, if possible, be appealing to other people too. Cats are dear to me, and gaming is dear to me. So I decided to make an animation based on the video game I'm working on, which is 9 Lives, as a little prequel maybe. If you're wondering what this game is or what it is about, I promise I'll make a future video about it. But as of now, all you need to know is that it's gonna be about a cat, her name is Pepper, doing very cat-like things, like getting into trouble. The scripting part took me around an hour to finish. I had it done with around 8 minutes left on the clock of that 1 hour I gave myself. Alright, so that's 1 hour off the clock, only 23 hours and a full animation to go. Before actually animating, I wanted to make a series of panels and sketches to use as guidelines for the whole animation process. That way it will be easier to animate, or at least that's what I hoped. This process is called storyboarding and serves exactly that purpose of planning your animation better. A lot of people and studios would also make character designs or character sheets first before starting as part of the planning process. But because I only have 3 main characters in this, I decided to skip it for the sake of saving time. I wanted to spend as much time as possible actually animating and drawing than making plans. I wanted to be as time efficient as possible. So I started drawing and drawing and drawing and drawing and drawing. And after around 50 scenes planned and sketched out, I looked at the clock and I realized I went over my time. If you paid enough attention in the intro, I said that I'll give storyboarding around 6 to 8 hours to finish. It took me 9.5 hours, almost 10, to finish sketching. This is when I started to panic. Why? I was slow, and if only sketching rough outlines took me almost 10 hours, then all the backgrounds, colors, smears, and proper timing will take me almost double that. And after that, there was the editing and sound design. There was no shot of me finishing this in time. I just could not. So at this point, I had a little existential crisis and spent almost a week avoiding the project. Counterproductive, you might think. It was, but after proper rest, I eventually picked it up again and promised myself that I would try. And if I didn't finish in time, I would still make a video about it. So did I finish it in under 24 hours? Well, I guess you'll have to stick around to find out. Animating and coloring was extremely fun. Putting the colors, the shades and everything in between down was great fun, but not easy at all. Not only did I sometimes get confused by the layers, but I also managed a few times to get and use the wrong layer and screw up my whole workflow having to redo them. I went shot by shot trying my best to add as much detail as possible, but eventually I had to look at the clock and sacrifice a lot of details. Because of time constraints, I had to cut the last 2 shots of the animation down and sacrifice a bunch of color. Eventually, I looked at everything I had finished and realized I had only 30 minutes left. I had 30 minutes until the 24 hours period was over. And this is when panic settled in and the adrenaline levels in my veins skyrocketed. I had to export all my frames into my editing software, edit it, time it, add sound and music, and I had only 30 minutes to do that. So I locked the fuck in. When I'm telling you that it felt like time stopped, I am not joking. I felt like Neo dodging the bullets in the Matrix. I felt like I rolled a natural 20 for my spell and nothing could break my concentration. The last 30 minutes felt longer than the past 23 hours, but guess what? I made every single second count. And when the timer hit 0, this is what I had finished. Ladies, gentlemen, the ones in between and the ones above gender, I present to you 9 lives. So, now that I disappointed everyone, let's address the obvious here. First, here are some stats on the screen for the people that are interested in how many frames and how many unique frames I used. They are gonna stay on the screen for a bit while I address the obvious here. This is not a Disney or Pixar level animation. Hell, it's not even at the level of YouTube for all I know. But I am glad that this is where I started to animate and that I managed to stay within the time limit. Is it polished? Nope. Does it lack a lot of color coordination and proper color composition? Yes. Is the timing off? Awful at times. Absolutely. So why am I not mad at it? I should feel ashamed, right? No. Guys, we all start somewhere. And sometimes that somewhere is not even remotely near good. This is why I'd like to urge everyone watching to go and actually try this out. If you are interested in animation or any other topic at all, give yourself a limited time and see what you can make in that amount of time. And if you enjoyed it, keep doing it. Now that I know I can actually animate in the future, I will concentrate on getting better at it. I will post this same animation next week in a different video so I can keep track of my progress. And even though I could fix it a bit for the official release, I will keep it this way because I want to keep it true to the 24-hour challenge. This is what I could do in 24 hours, so this is what the official release will be. We'll see if in the future I can make better animations in less time or whatever. What is certain is that I will keep improving. And you should too. Tell me about your projects in the comments. And tell me if you like my animation or if you would have done it differently. Happy animating, and Amber out.